Now, UK Member of Parliament and Minister for Armed Forces James Hepe says military action alone will not help West African countries to eliminate terrorism. He says a strong political commitment is important to deal with the situation. Speaking in an exclusive interview with Joy News, Maxwell Agbagba, he said most of the conditions that give rise to insurgency and violent extremism in other African countries are non-existent in Ghana, as the country is democratic. The minister is in Ghana to deepen the UK-Ghana security and defense partnership and also help promote the UK's continued commitment to security in northern Ghana following an increased attacks against some Togo and Western African countries.
Equipment, it brings with it training, it brings with it operating together, it brings with it that you will see Royal Navy ships more often. HMS Trent was here last autumn, she'll come again this autumn. You'll see more members of the British Army down here training alongside the Ghanaian Army. You'll see more members of the Ghanaian Army going up to the UK to train alongside the British Army. Just so much opportunity, but all because Ghana has put its hand up and said, we'll lead. We will, we're a Security Council member. We've got the presidency of ECOWAS. We will lead in our region. And we want to support you in that leadership.
Interesting. Now, we've heard of the increasing, threats of terrorism within the West African coastal states, and in the past days we've heard of attacks in Nigeria, actually in a church. Quite a horrific attack, very horrific, I should say. We've heard of attacks in Benin. We've seen attacks in Côte d'Ivoire. Ghana remains the oasis in this desert, of instability that we continue to see in our part of the world. But Ghana is also under threat as it stands, right now. I want to find out, UK government certainly have the advanced technology, the logistics, and you pick up the real intelligence. I want to find out what kind of intelligence that you've picked up about these increasing terror attacks and plans to, attack West African coastal states.
Well, look, first of all, it is no coincidence that Ghana is the last of the littoral West African states to experience violence on its own soil. That is the consequence of the fact that Ghana is a very strong state with governance that extends all the way to its borders. You are democratic, you are fair in the way that you apply justice. You, as a government, seek to develop the economy across the whole of your country. And so many of the conditions that cause grievance and instability and insecurity that allow the insurgents to exploit, Ghana has none of, because of the way that you run your country, and that is to be applauded. And that's quickly not to say that in the case of your neighbours, they don't, but Ghana is just an exemplar that I think you should recognise that it's not that you've been lucky. You deserve the fact that you are the hardest of the West African states for the violence to arrive into. But it will come. There are terrorist attacks in the UK. It is impossible that they won't come here in time. And so what we need to do as your friend is exactly as you suggest. Engage between our intelligence communities, share with you whatever information we have about the expansion of violent extremism in this region. That's happening. Our intelligence communities are engaging very imminently, in fact, to discuss how that might work. When it comes to surveillance, both electronic and physical, we are very clear that insurgencies rely on being able to move kit and equipment around in a sort of clandestine way, and that they rely on being able to hide within the population. We've got some expertise on how you get after the terrorists through our time in Iraq and in Afghanistan, and the work that we've been doing in Syria and Libya. But and we're ready to sort of share that with you.
The vulnerabilities that some of these insurgents sometimes, exploit. There are criticisms all over the world that what we've seen in the fight against insurgency is a firefighting approach. The critics say that insurgency is, it's a huge, the insurgency iceberg, it's there. And what we see at the top of this iceberg is the shooting and the killing and the maiming of people. But what is beneath actually is the religious intolerance. It's about the economic conditions, of the people, the political instability in these countries. These are the vulnerabilities that the insurgents, exploit. So rather than militarizing, the fight against terrorism, we should rather focus on addressing these challenges and these problems. What do you make of that?
Well, I think you're right. I actually think that in the case of radical Islamism, invariably the economic conditions come first. I don't think that many people choose to become jihadis. I think invariably they've lost their livelihood, their economic prospects are minimal, and the opportunity to be a gun for hire within Islamic State is a way of feeding your family. And then once you're in Islamic State, you become radicalized and it becomes an ideological thing.
Yeah.
And there's work that we've been doing in the Lake Chad Basin, particularly around de-radicalization and reconciliation and rehabilitation. So if we so that people feel like there's a route back from, if you're in with Islamic State in West Africa in that case, if an ISWA fighter has a route to rejoining their community and being rehabilitated, and that's quite important because it means that the insurgency can melt away. But the only reason it would want to melt away is either if it comes against overwhelming military force that would otherwise crush it, or if there's a route to sort of prosperity within your community that means it no longer pays to be a gun for hire within ISWA or Islamic State in the Greater Sahel or whatever else. So you're absolutely right, Maxwell, in your view. Inevitably, the situation in Mali, in Burkina Faso, and in the Lake Chad Basin has already reached a point where a military solution is required. But a military solution alone won't ever succeed. So there has to also be that political commitment by countries in the region and the donor community beyond to have a stabilization effort that accompanies the military effort, that therefore means that people can if they don't want to die in the name of the insurgency, they can put down their gun and there's a route back to normality.
We know the bombs are dropping on Mariupol and other parts of Ukraine, but many countries across the world are feeling the